isn't my intercom working? I'm going to have to get tech services over here. I have to get the HV, what do they call it? Not HVAC. The AV, audio visual? Yes, that's right. The audio visual people. There it is. Miss Carruthers. Miss Carruthers? Please send in Callum and Jordan. Okay. Well, young men. Come in. Come in. What brings you to my office today? You know, it's young men like you. You're so sure of yourselves. But I have it here in a report filed by Miss Johnson and Nurse Laura. That you found it inappropriate to speak crassly during a sex education class. Is this true, young men? Who were you trying to impress? Oh, you were trying to impress some young ladies in the class. So you thought these young girls wanted to hear about your I see. So what part of your so what part of your male anatomy do you think these young ladies needed to hear about? Not another word out of both of you. Callum, you know, after graduation, you are scheduled to go into the Royal Navy on an exchange program. What kind of asset do you think you'll be for the Royal Navy running around in His Majesty's Secret Service? .007, if you will. Bandying about your parts, for lack of a better term. You know what I'm referring to, don't you, young man? Put your hand out. Put your hand out right now. Put it on mine. Let that be a lesson to you. Jordan, put your hand out right now. I hope you like that. Put your hand back out again, Jordan. No, I can't do that. I have to be serious. I have to be we have to... It pains me. I can't do this. It pains me to have to use corporal punishment on someone who's about to become a new recruit in Her Majesty's Armed Forces. I hope that teaches you a lesson. I'm going to note in your permanent file, which I have right here, your permanent file, these things do follow you around for the rest of your life. You didn't think so. It's not so funny now. 10 years from now, when you are trying to get that promotion to be a boatswain's mate on a destroyer, and you, Jordan, are flipping fish sandwiches over at the local carryout, they're going to look in here and say, did you show your pot to a young lady in Nurse Laura's sex education class? It's all right here in the report that I'm adding my deductions to the report. I won't have another word out of you. I'm glad that you understand the severity of this situation, Callum. You may go, but Jordan, I'd like you to stay after. Jordan, may I have one more word with you? Jordan, I've been an educator for going on 35 years. I was a young man once like you, Jordan, and Callum. And I know what it's like to fawn over the ladies, the young girls. You want to impress them. Oh, I had many a affair in my day. Crush, if you will. Everybody falls for the head cheerleader. Even I wasn't immune to her siren beauty. But I digress. Jordan, there's more important things in the world than the length of one's things in life are more important than the length of one's situation. Some men might find that if you brag too much, you're out to hide something. So be careful. Be careful in the future. Bragging too much, because you might be giving away a little bit too much information. Of course, you'll always be popular in the clubs. Oh, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Do you? It doesn't matter. Please see Miss Carruthers on the way out. Here's your file, and you can send the next students in. Here you go. There you go. And I don't want to see you in my office again for the rest of this semester. Do I have your word on that, young man? Good. Good day. Miss Carruthers, you can send in the next students. Thank you. Oh, I need a lint brush. It's terrible. Come in, have a seat. I think we have a rash problem going on at this school right now. And I'm a little bit ashamed that I have to bring this up, but you were in Nurse Laura's sex education class this afternoon, weren't you? So you felt the need to astound the classroom with the teachings of Tim and Eric. Little did you know, I know you wouldn't expect this from me, but I happen to be a fan of Tim and Eric. I know them quite well. Tim and I, Tim Heindecker, we've met several times, and of course I know Eric well. And I am troubled that you would take my friends' names in vain and use them in such a foul and callous manner in Nurse Laura's class. Were you part of the brigade that felt the need to go on and on and on about your yes, that. No, I won't say it. I know this man too, David Lieberhart. I own some of his CDs. I love David Lieberhart. As much as one man can ever truly love another man, do we truly know one another? Oh, Tim and Eric. Oh, Tim and Eric. I remember that time I was buying a pizza in Columbus, Ohio. I was on High Street. Oh, it was a very cold winter day. The fog was rolling in. And the vagabonds were, of course, out on the street. And Tim and Eric were performing at a local theater outside Ohio State University. Those were grand days, those times. And during one of the intermissions, between shows, I was hungry. So I went down the street and ordered a pizza, a small 12-inch pizza. And as I was going up to pay, to my surprise, my friend Tim Heindecker, that's this little man right here. He's just a little man. He's a very little man. He came in and said, "Your money," and I'll never forget this. I really will never forget this. This wasn't the first time I met Tim Heindecker, by the way. I met him in Chicago. That's another story I'll tell you maybe after this one. He said, and I quote, "Your money isn't good enough here, buddy." What did he say, mister? That's right. Your money isn't good enough here, mister. What are you people letting people like him in here? I turned around shocked at this accusation of my social standing. I've always considered myself quite a member of the community. Yes, Nurse Lisa is quite attractive. I understand it would be difficult to behave in her class, to not become excited or excitable with a beautiful young lady like Nurse Lisa presenting condoms and other sexual devices for the into the class. And I won't say it. There's no reason for me to say it. We can measure it. It's but we're not going to say it. There's a difference. I'd like to take a page out of the Tim and Eric book, if I will, to help clarify the situation. And we will call it, we can't call it a Johnson because you were in Miss Johnson's class. Miss Johnson, oh, I remember that time we went to Spain with Miss Johnson's Spanish class. Oh, Miss Johnson. I went to Spain, and boy. And I came back, and then I do this for you, you know. I do this for you. I really do. But to take a page from my friends, my good friends, my personal, well-known good friends, Tim and Eric, that I know very well, that I've known for years, we will refer to the organ in question, the fallacious organ, as a prentice. Not The Apprentice, that's the show with Donald Trump. We're talking about the Apprentice, Prentiss, 2 S's for the Prentice. And I do not know, we're not talking about Agent Prentice from that show about the FBI, which I don't even know the name of that show anymore. It's not Homicide Detective. What is it? Do you know the name of that show that has Agent Prentice on it? Oh, it's a wonderful show. They've lost a lot of the good actors. Mandy Patinkin was so wonderful on that show. Oh, I miss Mandy Patinkin. He's a great pianist. I don't know if people really appreciate someone until they're gone. I never fully appreciated Tim and Eric's awesome show until it was gone. That's right. I never appreciated it. Well, what does this have to do with anything? Oh, I see. So this is the page you showed in Miss Johnson's class. And you think that was funny? Was that comical for you? Oh, and this one. So that was funny for you. The soup lie. Of course. What they can do with bratwurst these days. You know, there comes a point where referring to a man's apprentice just isn't funny anymore. It's just not funny. I have your permanent records right here. And if you choose to, we can put a nice black mark in each and every one of your permanent records. Is that what you want? So he pulled out his wallet. Tim Heidecker, who do you think? And he flashed a wad of cash. I found it quite surreal that he felt the need to buy my pie, but he did. And I said, Tim, my friends waiting in line with me will never believe that the great one and only Tim Heidecker bought my 12-inch cheese pizza with pepperoni and a drink. Would you mind signing my pizza box? And I opened the box, the pizza box, and my friend Tim Heindecker signed the inside lid of my pizza box. And I returned back to the line for general admission and said, "Look, everyone, my friend Tim Heindecker signed my pizza box." And of course, they laughed. They said it was just like Chicago, where I said I met them there. Which I did. I met David Liebehart and Tim and Eric in Chicago. It was a cold, blustery day. I'm just making a few notations in my report. It was a cold, blustery day in January, much like today. The frozen climes of the American Midwest, the Windy City, Chicago, the elevated train, the turnpike, the toll roads. We made our way through Chinatown to a small theater in the center of town, with the Sears Tower still in view, a giant compass marking the city. And as I talked to David Liebehart, I said, "My hands are cold. I need to warm my hands because I'm cold." And I saw a drugstore across the street and went across traffic to buy myself a pair of knit mittens, which I did. I purchased a $2 pair of black wool knitted mittens. They were quite warm on my hands, and I thought I should buy another pair for my son, who's waiting in the line for the theater to open. So I did. So I had 2 pair of gloves. I put 1 pair on. This is important to the story, I think. And as I was putting on my gloves on my hands, that's what you do, I almost walked right into a taxi, letting the patrons of the theater out. And who did I almost walk into but Eric Warheim, and the man who sings Sexual Chocolate, which I'd never remember his name. I bumped right into them and I said, "Oh my goodness. Hello, Eric. How are you?" And he said, "Hello. Good to see you again." And he walked on. And of course, then out of the taxi came my good friend, Tim Heindecker, who signed my pizza box in Columbus, Ohio, whether you believe that or not. And I said, "Tim Heindecker, how are you today in this cold, blistery Chicago weather?" And he said, "Great. How have you been?" I said, "Pretty good. I hope you have a wonderful show." And he says, "Glad to see you're in the audience." And he walked off. And I said, "Well, there you go." And I walked down the alley to the line for the theater, where my son was waiting for me. And I said, "I just ran into Tim and Eric getting out of a taxi cab," and they all said, "You're lying." Even David Liebehart called me a liar. But I'm not a liar. Do you think I'm a liar? You know, this could go very hard on you. I don't know how I feel about this, but lies are something that can follow you around in your permanent record. Now, did you or did you not show Tim and Eric Prentice photos in Nurse Laura's sex ed class? Yes or no? It's that simple. Okay. Well, you and you may go, but you're staying. You stay behind. Your malfeasance and lying and not admitting to the truth, I'm going to smack you on the hands for that. I don't normally resort to corporal punishment, but in your case, young lady, I think it's warranted to send a message. I don't need young girls like you filly-lilly-nilly about, thinking it's okay to talk about apprentices in class. Hang on a minute, I've got to wipe this slobber off my lip. Oh, you can stop talking about it right now. Oh, do you kiss your mother with that mouth? Put your hand out. Let's get this over with. Now put your hand on mine. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 swats with the ruler on each hand to teach you a firm lesson on foul language and lying and being deceitful and being a naughty girl. 1 and 2. Was that good for you too? Okay. Put your other hand out and shh, be quiet. Take your punishment like a woman. Oh. And the other hand now. 1 and 2. Oh. How dare you pull your hand back? I didn't know how much that hurt. Oh. Miss Carruthers. Miss Carruthers. Miss Carruthers, please send in a bag of ice. Oh, that will do. That will do, young lady. You're free to go. Ooh. I found that quite enjoyable, actually. Ooh. The things I have to deal with. These young people. That trollop. That's certainly going in her permanent file. A little hot. Oh, thank you, Miss Carruthers. Please close the door behind you. I need a moment's respite. Could you believe they did that with Tim and Eric? Oh my goodness. What is this? Oh, I can't even show you this picture. I'm glad Miss Johnson's coming back. We need to get Nurse Laura back into her first aid study. Do you think the tests have come back conclusive about Miss Johnson's STDs? Just asking. For no other reason. I'm not concerned. Okay. Well, that'll be all, Miss Carruthers. That will be all. What am I going to tell my wife? Oh, Miss Johnson. Oh, Miss Johnson. I should have never went to Spain.